Appreciate all of you coming out tonight under the bad weather, etc. This is an exciting day for the Badger football program. I'm pleased to announce Gary Andersen is our head football coach. First, would like to welcome his family, his wife Stacy, who's here, sons Keegan and Hagan, and his son Chasen. Chasen's also here. Welcome. Welcome to our family. I want to thank the Board of Regents and the Athletic Board who assisted in this process. I said all along that we would take our time and so that we could find the right fit. I feel very confident that we did our due diligence and we have the right fit. Gary has impressed me as the person, the right person who believes in the things that we have done to be successful in this program. During the interview process, Walter Dickey and Sean Frazier were with me, and as we left, Walter Dickey made the comment, if I would have had a blindfold on, I would have thought that was you that was answering the questions. That's how our philosophies and our beliefs have meshed. They're very similar. He believes in first supporting the kids, supporting the players, both on the field, academically, and socially. The first questions he asked me were about academic support for the athletes. In visiting with him and also doing my research, I had Joe Panos, former captain, contact some of the players in the NFL who have played for Coach Andersen and get their feedback. And to the guy, it was very consistent from what I had heard. He's demanding, he's fair, he's consistent, he cares about his players. He'll hug you, he'll get after you if you need it, and we all love him. That was a consistent theme throughout. He has a passion for the game of football. As I explained it to people, he's a ball coach. He's dedicated to helping his student athletes, as I mentioned before, and he's done a tremendous job in turning around the Utah State football program and turned it around in a hurry. The first time that I noticed him was a year ago as I watched Utah State play the defending champ Auburn. Really didn't know much about Utah State at that time, but was impressed at his demeanor on the sidelines, how his players played. It was quite obvious they were not intimidated to go on the road and play in a very difficult environment. They were tough. They were fundamentally sound. They had Auburn on the ropes. And then at that point, I started following what he was doing, how they were doing, and then saw up close and personal when they showed up at Camp Randall. And I told Gary that before the game, that how impressed I was with him and how he ran his program, and we all saw how well they played here at Camp Randall. I really look forward to working with him, and I'm going to help him make this transition as smooth as possible. Now I would like to formally introduce the next head football coach at the University of Wisconsin, Gary Andersen.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you to Coach Alvarez. It's been an unbelievable 3 days. You get to you learn a lot in a very fast pace. The support, the belief, the care factor for everybody at the University of Wisconsin that I've come across is unbelievable. So again, thank you, Coach, for giving me this opportunity. And when you are given the opportunity to sit down with Coach Alvarez in an interview, it's a special experience. Everybody knows that this program's where it is today because Coach Alvarez built this football program from the ground up. I have a great opportunity to watch from afar for a number of years as a young coach, and tremendous respect for what's happened here and the way the kids play. And when I had the opportunity to start looking into this job, it was not very long. It didn't take me long. When Coach offered me the job, I just said yes, and I think I shocked him a little bit. I didn't ask any questions. I just held my hand in the air and was ready to go. So, but a couple more thank yous before. I mean, it's a transition for a family at any time, and I'd like to thank my wife Stacy and my 3 boys for hanging in there with this situation and being so supportive. It's been a big part of it, and I have one son that's on the team at Utah State, and that's a position for him to it's a little to go through, as your dad's a head coach, and all of a sudden he up and leaves, and a little bit of controversy whenever you leave a program, without question. So I'd also like to thank the kids at Utah State for handling it the way they did. I was able to reach out to every one of them. That was important to me to be able to do that, and didn't get to talk to every one of them, but they're so supportive, happy, grateful, and I am too. I'm very grateful to them for the time we had together, and they know I'll always be there for them. So, and then the young men that I've had an opportunity to talk with here on the football team is exactly what I thought. It's exactly why I took this job, because it's tough-minded kids. They care about growing academically. They care about growing socially. Football is important to them. They play with a toughness and a chip on their shoulder. And I told Coach Alvarez during the interview process that I'm a big believer as you watch a team, and I had the opportunity to watch Wisconsin all summer, 12 games, evaluations of trying to find a way to be able to stay on the field with Wisconsin. And you can see how a team plays, their commitment, their toughness. They like the game of football. It's very easy to see on the game film that these young men love the game of football. So my mindset with a few different areas, what's a priority for me right now is number one, the kids in the program. And when I say that, it's important to me to let them know one thing really now and one thing only is, here's my phone number. If you have questions, please call me. If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, I will be there for you. I'd love to sit down and talk to you when the time's appropriate, but these kids need to go win a Rose Bowl. And the last thing they need me, at least for me, is to hang around them. Coach Alvarez, the staff, and the young men will go put themselves in position to win a Rose Bowl. So I'm going to be a fly on the wall, evaluate, and get to practices and do what I can, but that's I just want to be there for the young men and start to get a relationship with them. Number two is to reach out and secure our commits. And that's so important for us to be able to, there's been a lot of hard work, a lot of hours, countless hours put into having these young men commit to the University of Wisconsin and to play football here. And so it's my job now to reach out to those young men, to those families, and let them understand the direction that we're headed, and that they're in great hands. So that's obviously a high priority. And number three is to reach out and start recruiting. When I say that I want to recruit the state, I think the easiest way for me to tell you, show you that I want to recruit the state is when I went to Utah State 4 years ago. There was 18 young men from the state of Utah on that team. There's now 55. There's 50-plus young men from the state of Wisconsin that are on the roster at this point. I believe the number is 53 from what I've been told. We will secure our own state. We'll wrap our arms around the coaches. We'll wrap our arms around every player. And we'll have a strong walk-on program because there's terrific coaches, there's terrific players in the state of Wisconsin. And that's another reason why I sat back and looked at this job. That's how I grew up in coaching. With coaches like Coach Alvarez, Coach McBride, who coached here, is you reach out to young men that care about football, and when you recruit them, they'll look you in the eye and say, Coach, I love football. And if they can say that, they got a chance to be something special. And there's also something special about playing in your own state. And you can't underestimate that, and we'll do a tremendous job of reaching out to those young men. Wisconsin, the football program in recruiting, in my opinion, is obviously very well respected throughout the country, and as a staff and as a football program, we should be able to get into any recruiting fight that we want to get ourselves into. There's nowhere you can go in the country, and you're a football player, and you can't understand the logo at the University of Wisconsin. So I think that's very important for everybody to understand. Other than that, I'm extremely grateful. I'm humbled. I can't wait to get started. But again, my emphasis with the young men is to watch them go win a Rose Bowl and do everything I can to take care of them and put them first, and that's my goal. Assistant coaches. When I look for an assistant coach, the number one priority is to find a coach that can guarantee me that he's going to put the young men first, because that's what matters. Last time I looked, there's nobody coming out on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening and watching 9 coaches walk up and down the sidelines. Okay, this game is about players. It always will be. Players make plays. Players win games. Coaches need to support players. They need to hug them hard when they need to be hugged. They need to hold up their discipline plan if they need to hold up their discipline plan. And the coaches need to be involved in the young men's lives in 3 areas. And academics is very important. The academics at the University of Wisconsin and the athletic program as a whole is unbelievable. To say you have a football team that is a 3.0 GPA or very close to a 3.0 GPA is unbelievably impressive, and that's a credit to the young men. It's a credit to the support and everybody that's around them in a quality university. A degree from the University of Wisconsin goes a long ways, but we need to help them academically and put the young men in position of support for us as coaches. They will be held accountable as assistant coaches to care for the young men and understand it's their job to help them academically. Social world that we all live in. It's important to me that a young man, very simply, he walks in here as a young man and he turns himself into a man. That matters to me. And you'll hear me refer to the kids as kids a lot. Sometimes I take some grief for that, for calling football players kids, but they are my kids. Every single one of them are my kids. I look at them as the same as I look at Chasen and Hagan and Keegan, because that is my responsibility. And at some point, socially, I'm looking at a mom, a grandma, a father, a coach, a mentor, and I'm going to look him in the eye and I'm going to say, I'm going to take care of this young man and I'm going to put him in a position to be successful. And that's my responsibility. And that being said, that's why I consider them my kids. And they'll understand that as we move forward. The football side of it, obviously, it's why we're here. Unbelievable tradition, the belief, the want to, the care factor of a university. Coach Alvarez, all his staff, and the young men in the program, to not be good but to be great is there, and it's fun to be part of. I can just tell you that, and I wrap my arms around that. But I do believe this: if the young men take care of themselves academically with the support of coaches, the young men take care of themselves socially with the support of coaches, and we recruit the right way, that's when you win championships. And I'm excited to just be part of this. We'll get the staff moving forward here quickly, and hopefully we can deflect this back to the young men and let them go win a Rose Bowl. So I'm very grateful, humbled to be here, and happy to answer any questions that you have.
Like normal, we've got microphones on each side. If you can raise your hand, we'll get one over to you. Lance?
Gary, a lot was made about you running the spread at Utah State or a variation of such. What offense do you think you'll run here at Wisconsin?
How did I know that question was coming? So, well, I think if you looked at what we had done at Utah State, we wanted to be a physical run team. And this is the University of Wisconsin. I've seen the young men walk around the hallways. I had an opportunity to sit down with a couple of the offensive linemen. I've seen the tight ends. I know the tradition of the running backs, and the biggest thing I can tell you is I had to work again all summer long to try to find a way to hang in there against this offensive line and the running backs, let alone the tradition of running the football. So we will be a power run team. We'll use tight ends. We'll use multiple sets and multiple formations, absolutely. I believe we'll be a football team that will be run first, and our goal and our mindset and our want to will be to wear you down as the game goes on and to out-tough you and out-physical you. So easy things to sit up here on a podium and say, but that will be the mindset, and that's the way it's always been whenever I've had an opportunity to coach a football team. And on the flip side of that, on defense, we want to stop the run first. So, but when you talk about an offense in those ways, there is ways to use the best players on your football team, and we'll always do that. We'll always get the best 11 to 18 kids out there on the field, depending on the subgroups and the packages that we play with. And I don't want to be predictable. I want to keep people on edge. I do want to have a touch of option within the game, a game plan every week to force defenses to deal with it. But we're gonna line up and let those big kids work, and that's what they like to do. And we should be able to recruit to get into any recruiting battle in the country with a quality running back. And the one thing I would like to say on top of that, and it might be a little bit of a recruiting pitch or whatever you want to say, but I've been around. It will be 3 NFL backs the last 2 years at Utah State, and that's because we run the football. And I expect to be able to do the exact same thing here with some tremendous athletes on the offensive line, tight ends, fullbacks, and wide receivers that'll block you. Physical, tough-minded kids that'll block you downfield. I've seen that in the game that we played against Wisconsin.
In the middle.
You alluded to it earlier, contacting all of your players at Utah State. Can you elaborate on that? How many phone calls are we talking about? How long did it take you? And maybe most importantly, why that was an emphasis for you in the transition?
Okay. Well, there's been a lot said about it was a 3-week process that I was leaving. I was going here. I did interview for a couple other jobs weeks ago now. The bowl game was less than a week ago, and that seems like it was about 4 years ago right now. But that process came to a close, and I announced it to the team, and I got with my kids, and I told them that I was not leaving for any of those jobs, and I did make that statement. Wisconsin was nowhere to be seen at that point for me. But the second that Coach Alvarez had contacted me and gave me the opportunity, I knew that was a job I was going to take. So the kids had left. The bowl game was over. Kids were scattered all over the country. It was important for me to not shoot a text message. And Zach Nyborg, my director of football operations, and I agonized for hours on how are we going to get this done to reach out to each one of these kids, but yet somehow, some way protect Coach Alvarez's wishes, which was to, get to Wisconsin without everybody in the world knowing what's going on. So I called every kid, started about 7:30 at night, told them the situation, and I guess we went till 2:30 or 3 in the morning, waking kids up, tried to start on the East Coast kids that we have and work our way back to the Pacific time zone, and then we woke up in the morning about 6:30 and started again with the time zone and started on the East Coast and worked back to the Pacific time and then got on an airplane and came out here. Why was it important to me? Because the kids deserve that. They deserve to be able to, if they're frustrated, they deserve to be able to tell me they're frustrated, which not one of them was. I'm not going to tell you they were doing backflips, but they understood the situation. They understand the University of Wisconsin. They understand because a lot of them were here, and it helped them. They were able to be on that field. They were able to see the stands, the crowd, the city, so that made it much easier for every one of those young men. So one of the, probably the most difficult thing for me to do that I've ever had to do in my coaching career is to call each one of them, and it was emotional, 106 times. So it'd be easier to let them be in a team meeting and get emotional one time, but it's hard for me. I'm an emotional guy, and you'll find that about me, that I do care about the kids. And so it was just to let them know that I love them. I'm going to be there for them, and just because I leave, I never say goodbye, and they know that, and I won't say goodbye. I'm here if they need me, and they'll continue to reach out to me, and they have since I've accepted the job.
Gary, your predecessor, Brett Bielema, had an interesting relationship with Urban Meyer at Ohio State, and obviously you know Urban from playing under him. What can you tell us about your experiences with him, and what can you tell us about what that rivalry might be like moving forward?
Well, I reached out to Coach Meyer during this process and just asked him his thoughts because I have great respect for him and had the opportunity to work for him for a year. And his first thoughts were, obviously, it's a tremendous job and great opportunity, and Coach Alvarez is there. And, that was all a positive. And then the next text he shot back and he said, "But you got to come and play us." And I said, "Yeah, we do." So away we go. So, but I have an unbelievable respect for Coach Meyer, his family, the way he has moved himself through this profession, and there's a lot of care factor with Coach Meyer, and I'm glad he's back in it. I'm excited about having the opportunity to compete against, Ohio State and his team. But again, that game's it's not about Gary Andersen and Urban Meyer. It's about the University of Wisconsin and Ohio State.
Rob.
Coach, different things have been said by players, past coaches, about whether this program is one that can compete for a national championship on a yearly basis. Do you feel that this program is that, and to what extent did that attract you to this job?
Yeah, would not have entertained the thought in any way, shape, or form of taking a job at this point in my career if I didn't think that we could come in and compete and play for championships. And I'm not a prediction guy. I'm not going to reach out there and say we're going to do this or we're going to do that. I'll just let the results speak for themselves when we get out there on the field. But I think this football program, I know this football program has everything it needs to compete at the highest level. And in everybody's mind, I'm sure the national championship is at the highest level, but that's all talk. But the table's been set for these young men to have everything they need academically, socially, and athletically to succeed at a very high level. And how high that level is, time will tell.
Jamie?
Can you tell us about your meeting with the players right here? Which guys did you meet with, and what were your initial impressions?
Well, I'm not good with names yet. I've been able to meet with a few sets of young men. I sat down with the linebacker core, and I wanted to sit with those guys, and it's an interesting story, and I'll say it quick. But Chasen, my son, is here with us, and he watched those kids this summer as I was again preparing, and I came in. I said, Chasen, watch these three kids play linebacker. They're unbelievable. They're the way they play, and they're just so well taught. And credit goes to the coaches. They did a nice job with them. But so we are able to have a little bit of relationship, and Chasen was very excited to meet those kids. But sitting down with them, so I met with the core of those young men. I've met with the core of offensive linemen that I want to continue to reach out and talk to those kids. And I have 5 or 6 meetings set up today with different young men. And I just want to, again, be able to just let them know, not to bother them, not to talk about the future, but let them know I'm here. And I have a major care factor for them. And I'm very interested, as quickly as I can, to let them understand that they can trust me. But that takes time. Just because I say I want them to trust me means nothing. I have to be able to show it through the way I carry myself and the way our staff carries ourselves. So I get a team meeting today. Coach Alvarez will give me the opportunity to be with them for just a few minutes today, and I will tell them the exact same thing that I've said here. So just want to be there for them.
Andy?
Gary, you did an interview yesterday in which you talked about this place being special. You had one experience here as a coach. What makes it so?
Well, I just think, Coach Alvarez, for one, if there's one thing that jumps out to me is where it's came from. If you are asked and take every head coach and every position coach in America and every level of college football and ask them to draw up the top 20 best college football programs in the country, I guarantee Wisconsin's on 99.9% of those ballots that you gather. That makes it a special place from a football standpoint. What's special to me is I have a very genuine interest in being able to reach out and coach the kids, the young men that I have something in common with. And I know now that I've been here, I get to coach those type of young men that, again, high character, care about academics, their want to is unbelievable to succeed in life. But then you walk in here and you see all of this. If I go up on the third level of the stadium and everybody leaves, I'm going to be there for a minute because I can't get outside. I don't know where I'm going. The facilities, everything that's there that's set up is unbelievable. And it's just, but again, it's the people in the buildings. At the end of the day, it's not the buildings. It's the people inside the buildings that I believe makes this place special. From what I've learned, I believe that when I walk in here, and I have a tremendous, much better understanding of why I believe this place is special.
Tom?
Gary, obviously Coach Alvarez brought in a coach who he thought could perpetuate the program that's been built here. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, what do you think your stamp will be? Will you be able to take this program to different places than it's been?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, as you look at a program rich in tradition, rich in winning, 3 Rose Bowls in a row, it's where are you going to take it next? To be a consistent winner. Again, they've been a consistent winner, but I think that the thing is to have kids that are going to be able to compete at a national level and hold consistency to be a college football powerhouse year in and year out. And what's my stamp going to be on it? I sure hope my stamp at the end of the day is on the football field to have a team that is physical, tough-minded, plays aggressive, plays the game the right way, is respected by their opponents, solid in all three phases, has one of the best graduation rates in the country. That's what I expect, and socially, young men that turn themselves from young men into men as they go through the program again, and we'll never be perfect. I'll never say that, but we'll try to be every single day and fight to get that position.
Back.
Coach, do you realize that Wisconsin football games have 5 quarters, and just are you familiar with all the traditions that happen at Camp Randall?
Well, I know the band. I heard the band. I know the jump around. I took my team at Utah State into the auditorium. I cranked the volume up on the jump around, and I said, pretend it's not happening. And that was our whole mindset, is to completely block it out. I had one receiver that just couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it. He did it. Everybody did their best, but he dances at practice all day long. We listen to music at practice, so we're a little different on some things we do practice-wise. Yeah, there's a lot of traditions that I may not know about yet. I'm looking forward to understanding those, but there's 750 people, I was told this morning, going to the Rose Bowl. That's unbelievable to me. I mean, we loaded up 4 buses and rolled down the road 4 hours to go play in a bowl game, and that was a special experience. But it's just this, there's a lot of things I'm excited to learn, a lot of things I don't know, but there's a lot of things I'm excited to wrap my arms around and figure out. I promise you that much.
Tom, in the front.
Gary, could you address a couple things with your staff specifically? Do you have a short list for offensive coordinator? Do you have any idea how many of your guys from Utah State will be coming with you? Mm-hmm. And have you interviewed any of the current Wisconsin assistants?
Okay. I'm just going to be real brief on this, and I hope in the next couple of days we can get a lot more stability to where the coaching staff is. But I'm highly interested in retaining coaches on this staff. Why wouldn't I be? I'd be crazy not to be. Again, if you're going to secure the state and Wisconsin, you better have some young men that understand and how to recruit and reach out to those high school coaches in the state of Wisconsin, which I'll call every one of those high school coaches in the state of Wisconsin within the next week or so. But I've got to retain some young men that understand how and why and who's important in the state of Wisconsin. Secondly, offensive coordinator is up in the air. The offensive coordinator at Utah State is now the head coach at Utah State, which is a tremendous opportunity for Matt Wells. And I will, reach out to find a quality coach. I will say this about the offensive coordinator: when you're at the University of Wisconsin, it's a great job. It's not a good job. It's a great job for an offensive coordinator, and offensive coordinators will understand that, and they'll line up 1,000 deep if you want them to. The key is to find the right guy that can run this offense and build it the way that we want it to be built, and carry over and use the best kids use the kids the best way as far as their abilities. So that'll be a little bit of a work in progress as we move forward. My coaches that I had with me at Utah State, I will bring 3 or 4 of them, and then I will reach out to a couple other coaches that are currently in other programs. So it'll be a great mix. There's some coaches with tremendous opportunities that were here at Wisconsin that will make some decisions and see what they want to do in the future.
Eric, back.
Coach, when you were at Utah State and you talked about competing at a national level, you obviously weren't afraid to go into the SECs and to the Wisconsins. How much value do you put into a difficult non-conference schedule, and is that something that you continue to look forward to doing here at Wisconsin?
Well, I think it's always going to be difficult. The schedule you play in the Big Ten is difficult, and it's a little bit different. When you have to have that mindset at different places to be able to say, hey, we're going to walk in here as an extreme underdog, and that was kind of our chip on our shoulder that we had. You don't need that chip on your shoulder here. You would expect to walk into any environment and play at a high level. Our kids will be excited about doing that, and they are excited about doing that. So non-conference games, I think to reach out to another conference next year, it's Arizona State. That's a great game. That's going to be fun to go there. I've been there. It's a tremendous setting. Our kids will be excited to go play there. And how the rest of the schedule falls has been set by Coach Alvarez for years. He has his arms wrapped around that and understands. I'll be included in that, but we're also going to make decisions that are best for the school as we move forward. So, I think you'll see the same plan that you've seen here for a number of years. As far as 7 home games is important. It gets sometimes hard to get 7 home games the right way when you're a good team. Not a lot of people are jumping up and down to say, hey, we can't wait to come and watch you play. But they are jumping up and down. But that's our guys. They're doing that. So not the other team.
Jim?
Gary, you mentioned the importance of securing commits. When does that process start for you?
Securing what?
Commitments.
Okay, yes, sir.
When does that process begin for you if it hasn't already?
As soon as I can get cleared through the NCAA, which has not happened yet. That's a little bit of a complicated process, but I will get in contact with each one of those young men, the important family members or the mentors that I need to reach out to, their coaches, and I believe it's important that I do that personally. There's coaches that are on the staff. Ben Strickland is he's going to stay. I want him here in the worst way, and it's important for me to have him on the staff. And Ben has shown me how important he is, and he is Wisconsin, if you will. I understand that because that's where I started my coaching career, is where I grew up and where I played, and there's something special to be a coach. So he'll be involved in that process, but he and I will get that handled, and we'll move forward quickly.
In the back?
Gary, can you give us a little bit of insight back here in the back row?
Where are you at?
In the way back.
Back here. Way
Okay,
back
I
here
got
to the
you.
cameras.
There you are.
Can you give us some insight on the initial phone call from Barry? Were you shocked how Barry made the initial pitch? And then the second part, will you be on the sideline in Pasadena?
Okay. Coach Alvarez didn't have to make any pitch to this guy, I'll tell you that. The pitch was made here when I spent 3 hours out on that field a long time ago. So, but was I wouldn't say I was shocked. I guess if I felt like I was shocked, I would not felt like I was ready to take this job. And so shocked is not the right word. Excited, grateful for the opportunity to even have the interview and be involved in that process, absolutely. But, not shocked, but grateful. Sidelines, I don't, if I'm on the sidelines, I'm not going to be in the sidelines, so I'll be, a fan on the side watching the kids. The whole key for me is I want to get to Pasadena. This is not anything in any way, shape, or form as this Rose Bowl have anything to do with me other than I and my coaches need to evaluate the young men in the program so we can get a head start on building for the next year. And that's so important for me to let everybody understand that, I want to be there to help the program in the future, not to go be part of the benefits of a tremendous team and what they've accomplished and experienced in the Rose Bowl. And that's the way my coaches will be there with me as a fly on the wall at practice. We'll move along, and I'll do whatever Coach Alvarez wants me to do as far as being involved with speaking or whatever I need to get done. But we need to evaluate the kids so we can give us all the best opportunity to prepare for spring ball and recruit the right way.
Tom?
Barry, there's obviously lots of speculation about how many people you reached out to. Did you offer the job to anyone else? And is there one or two factors that put Gary over the top in your mind?
I did not offer the job to anyone else. I talked to a number of people. I talked to a number by phone during a preliminary interview. I actually met face-to-face with 3. What was the other question, Tom? The whole package. Just his entire philosophy and how it fit here. I think the things that I mentioned as I started the process, what I was looking for, I heard, I saw. Having watched his teams play, studied his background, having turned around a program, the important things for him in how he coaches, how he manages a team, how he manages his staff, all those things came out. The longer we talked, the more I could see that, and it was such a great fit. It was like he was in my head, and as I said, Walter Dickey has heard me enough as I interviewed other coaches and been around me enough. He said, I thought that was you talking. And so it was all the things he believes in, I believed in. And his caring for the kids, his importance of recruiting in the state and controlling your state, how you play the game, how you embrace your fans, just the whole package was there. And I just thought he would be the perfect fit for our fans, for our players, and everybody associated with our program.
In the middle.
You've indicated that game here in Madison a few months ago really left an impression on you. Beyond that game, what were your experiences in the Big Ten, and what do you think the identity of this conference is?
You're right. The experience here was tremendous. And before I go into the identity of the Big Ten and my experience in there, I haven't said this yet, but when we walked off that field and we left the stadium, and we lost the football game, which is obviously a tough loss when you're at Utah State at that time. But the class as we left this city to go get to the airport was unbelievable. And if you don't think that left a lasting impression on our kids, because we left places with great victories, we left places with very difficult defeats, and it's never like that. The support, the thanks, and it wasn't a, hey, thanks for coming, we beat you. It was, there was definitely a class act, and that left a lasting impression in my mind of those are fans, and they're in love with their team. They love Wisconsin, but they're also classy, and that was pretty impressive to me. As far as my experience, what my identity, if you think of the Big Ten, and physical, tough, very good football players, the highest level of Division I football that there is, well coached. Those are some things that come to my head there. I don't have a bunch of experience in playing in those venues, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the opportunity to recruit at this level. Some people have said, you're not from here. How are you going to be able to recruit back here? And it's the West Coast and all this stuff. And I completely disagree with that. Good coaches, good recruiters can walk into any living room and show what a university is. And a lot of coaches like to talk about, when you're a recruiter, you got to sell your university. No, you don't. Not here. You have to show what you have. You have to get young men on campus. You have to get the mentor or the parents or the coach or whoever it may be on campus. And you just have to show who you are and what you have. There's no selling. There may be some programs out there in the country that have to do that. They have to go sell their program, but that's not what we are and what we'll do. And I'm excited to get into those fights in the Big Ten and show people why they should come here.
Andy, on the right.
Gary, you've talked about how eager you are to come here and jump and taking the opportunity to coach here. There has to be some culture shock. You were born and raised in Utah. You're taking some pretty deep roots out of the ground. Could you speak to the challenges of moving from there to here and some of the adjustments you and your family are going to have to make?
Okay. Well, when we left Logan, we shoveled 7 inches of snow, and when we got here, there was 24 hours later 20 inches of snow. So snow is snow. Cold is cold. That stuff doesn't matter. What a beautiful day it is today, and sunshine, and so no issues there in any way, shape, or form. But to pick up and there's just so many similarities. I don't, the people that I've been able to meet and reach out to, and really it's been people in the athletic department and the people in the hotel. That's about what we've been able to be around. But I don't think that the transition is going to be difficult at all. It's not like I'm coming from Mars and moving to Madison. I mean, I've been surrounded with quality people, and I know again I'm going to be surrounded by quality people here. And that being said, maybe there is more of a transition to it than I think, but not to me. It's away we go. It's football. It's life, and the transition that could be hard is when you don't get a coach the type of young man that you like to coach, and that's not the case here. What the coaches have brought in here, what Coach Alvarez demands as an athletic director, and the type of young man you bring into a program is right down my alley. So I'm very comfortable. So I can't think of a negative response in any way, shape, or form to the question or anything negative about being here.
JP in the back.
Back by the cameras to your left. A lot had been made about how well you rebuilt Utah State, basically, and it's safe to say that won't be the case here. I mean, Coach Bielema had said that next year's roster could be his most talented he's ever had. I guess, first, does your mindset change when you come into a program that you're not rebuilding? And I guess how exciting is that, too, that you're inheriting quite the team?
Yeah, it's very different, and it's often said in coaching, either when you get a head job, you're either getting a team that wasn't very good or a team that was really good, and that's the facts. And so it's a little bit of a different dynamic, but you don't have to. The hardest thing to break down and build, in my opinion, is the belief to win. And there's something to be said about that, and it's not. It's not in a bottle. It's not magic dust that you sprinkle on top of their heads. It's an expectation. It's something that they work all year long to do, and these young men expect to win. And because of that, that is everything is a challenge, and every different year is a set of challenges. And I hope it's as quality and as good of players as Brett thought there was coming back. Did he say that before he left or after he left? Huh? Okay, good. That makes me feel better. All right. But anyway, I know the young men that are here, and we're excited to continue a winning tradition, and it is a little different than when we took over the last one, for sure.
Jeff?
Gary, Barry has mentioned, the total package you brought to this job, and I'm just curious, can you share for us the people who helped mold you and the experiences along the way and, your journey to this point that have made you the type of coach and person you are?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, coaching-wise, it all started with Coach McBride. He was my position coach. And then as I grew into coaching, he gave me my first Division I job. Coach McBride spent some years here, and he cried, by the way, when I told him I had this job. He couldn't believe it. How fortunate I was. But he's an unbelievable mentor for me, and will continue to be. He spent a ton of time at practices and camps. He taught me a lot what, Coach Alvarez is all about, the toughness of the game, the care factor for the kids. And if there's one thing that I learned from Mac, and again, I know I say it and I probably say it too much, but I only say it because I mean it, is you have to put the kids first, and that's number one with Coach McBride. And then his toughness. Past that, Kyle Whittingham and I spend a lot of time together. We started way back when at Idaho State, and he was really a first-time coordinator, and I was a first-time defensive line coach because I was an offensive lineman when I played, and so I coached offensive line for my first years. Coached defensive line with Kyle at Idaho State at the beginning, and that went all the way through the Utah years. From him being a coordinator to me turning around and being a head coach, and then coming back and being a D-line coach, then him being a head coach, and then me being a coordinator with him. So we share so many lessons, some good days, some bad days, some mistakes that we've made. So he's definitely a mentor of mine and will always be. I learned a ton from Urban Meyer in a year. It's easy my experience with Urban was a little bit different because we never lost. So, Urban Meyer was always a great guy to me because, we won again. So that's all good. So, we had a tremendous relationship, and I have a lot of respect for him as I watch him go through. And another guy is Lavelle Edwards. When I took the job at Utah State, I'll never forget Lavelle Edwards spent time, and obviously he was at BYU for a number of years, but I had Coach Edwards come up and talk to the team my first year, and he grabbed him the first day of spring practice, and we had him out there in the stadium, and he looked at the kids, and he told them one thing. He said, you have to win at home first. And, again, we were trying to build a program at that point, but I learned so much from Coach Edwards also as I've gone through this process. So there's many mentors, but those are some guys that jump out at me.
Adam, on the left.
Gary, right here. What were your conversations with Barry about as far as resources, and how do you feel about the resources that you'll have, especially as far as bringing in a staff and keeping them here?
Yeah. Well, Coach Alvarez has given us everything that we could possibly need. If you start with facilities, some of them are still being built, and it's a constant move, but there's a facilities race that goes on out there with kids, and facilities are very important. The way that they present themselves to recruits, but most importantly, the functionality of the building here and the way it's built, the new facilities is unbelievable. It's functional. The kids are in one place. Their academic world, they can eat. They can get treatment, they can move to the weight room, they can move through the coaches' offices, and that's important to me because I think that does build a family environment. The kids are in your building, and if we need to know something about a young man academically, it's boom, we can find out real quick. We can get to the training room very quickly. So the resources that are here from a facility standpoint are as good as there is in the country, and you have to show me better. And then I'll tell you you're crazy if you try to show me better because I disagree with you. The next thing is just the people that are in place that understand in a very short period of time, we're talking 2.5 days, but people that know their role and understand what their job title is, the importance of moving along, whether it's in the football offices or in the academic offices, the training room. And the biggest thing is people all have a smile on their face. And another thing I think you can really tell about a special place is when you ask people, I always like to ask people how long they've been at a place. And everywhere I go, it's like, well, I've been here 13 years, I've been here 19 years, I've been here 20 years, I've been here 10 years. That's not like that everywhere. So to me, you want to ask, I was asked the question earlier about what's a special place. Well, it's got to be pretty special if people are staying here for that period of time. So I believe we have all we need in those areas.
We got time for probably 2 more. Jim?
Gary, do you anticipate any Utah State players or recruits joining you here?
No, absolutely not. There's some tremendous young men there, and that's my belief is they're where they needed to be. There was one that I would personally, there's a tight end that plays there that I'd like to see him come and walk on. But he's told me that's what he wants to be, and where we went to the press conference yesterday. He feels great about being there, and he's going to be a junior. So, but other than that, I don't think we need to go down that road, and so I don't anticipate that.
Lance?
Barry, you appreciate a good defense as a former defensive coordinator. What did you like about his defensive background and what you saw here this fall?
Well, he used a little different structure than we use, but the fundamentals are the same. And, the fact that we have a pretty good offense. We have a pretty good offensive line. You got the best running back in the country. We had 230 yards total offense, and you see that consistently throughout his program. Very, very fundamentally sound, very physical, and they have fun. They're having a lot of fun when they play. They're coached very well. It's what you look for. As a defensive coach, I look for sound. I don't care what the front is. I don't care the structure as long as it's sound. And it was very sound and very physical.
Take one more. Tom?
Gary, you talked about good recruiters being able to recruit anywhere. I'm just curious, how much do you rely on the ties that you developed where you recruited previously, and how hard is it going to be to find a balance recruiting that area and traditional areas that Wisconsin has recruited in the past?
Well, we'll major in the traditional areas that Wisconsin has recruited in the past, without question. But you also, some people deem themselves, and the word out there that people always like, well, you nationally recruit. I don't quite know what that means, but I know that we have the ability to reach out to any young man in the country and, again, let them understand who we are as a program, and they'll be interested. So we'll recruit a lot of different areas, but we will focus where the University of Wisconsin has been successful. And we'll continue to do that, and it might be a little tweak here or a tweak there, and that's a big part of wanting coaches to stay that have been here because they understand where those ties are in recruiting. And I think everybody will add their little flavor to what they want and what they expect as you move on as a staff. But it's been pretty successful, and I look forward to wrapping my arms around it again and understanding it.
I want to thank everyone again for coming out, and again remind everybody that football practice starts at 12:45. That will be open to the media, and then there will be players available after practice if you'd like to speak with them. Thanks again.